Good morning sa lahat. Tara, basa na tayo na ating libro guys. The Word and Other Words Bible Diary 2023. Today is 31 May 2025. Nandito na tayo sa page ng 26 June Monday, 12th week in Ordinary Time. That green comma, PS is 4. The Word, first reading. Tara, basa na tayo. Genesis chapter 12 verse 1 to verse 9. Sundan nyo ako sa inyong Biblia guys. Genesis chapter 12 verse 1 to verse 9. The Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from the land of your kinsfolk and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you. All the communities of the earth shall find blessing in you." Abram went as the Lord directed him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Aram. Abram took his wife Sarai, his brother's son Lot, all the possessions that they had accumulated, and the persons they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land as far as the sacred place at Shechem by the terebinth of Moreh. The Canaanites were then in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said to your descendants, "I will give this land." So Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he moved on the hill country east of Bethel, pitching his tent. Ano yun guys? Alarm clock. Yun yung time na dapat ngayon pa lang tayo magbasa, pero inanahan ko na narinig nyo tuloy yung alarm. Okay, ulitin natin. To your descendants, I will give this land. So Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there, he moved to the hill country east of Bethel, pitching his tent with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. He built an altar there to the Lord and invoked the Lord by name. Then Abram journeyed on by stages to the Negev. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 7 verse 1 to verse 5. Guys, kung titingnan nyo yung history ng Canaan, panahon pa ni Abram, na siya, binigay na sa kanila. Tapos nung panahon ni Moses, binigay ulit sa kanila. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga inano nilang mga tao doon, yung mga, pero hindi naman talaga totally napaalis yung lahat. Ibig sabihin, yung mga nila sa giyera noon, di ba, nagyera nga, sa, kumbaga sana inano nila Moses, nilabanan nila yung mga nakatira doon. Panahon pa pala to ni Abram, oh. Ayun. Gospel reading. Kaya iniisip ko, puro magkakamag-anak lang talaga. Kung tutuusin, kung iano mo yung history, tapos hindi mo talaga maiwasan na naglaban-laban pa rin sila, diba? Parang napakasakit naman nun. Magkakamag-anak nagkakalaban-laban. Kung sa bagay kasi, malala yung kasi ang ino-honor lang natin ngayon na magkamag-anak is yung first family, first cousin, second cousin. Pag mga third cousin na parang hindi nagaanong diba? So, maaring ganun din siguro sa kanila. Opinion lang yun, ha. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 7 verse 1 to verse 5. Jesus said to his disciples, "Stop judging that you may not be judged, for as you judge, so will you be judged, and the measure with which you measure will be measured out to you. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me remove that splinter from your eye,' while the wooden beam is in your eye? You hypocrite, remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter from your brother's eye." Oso na po yan, Father God, sa generation namin ngayon. Dami na po talagang mga ganyan. Yung bang namiminta sa ibang tao samantalang hindi nila nakikita yung sarili nilang kapintasan. In other words, by Father Dennis Manzana is Vididas, Estel, Netherlands. Jesus said, "Stop judging that you may not be judged." One of the oldest running known time shows in the Philippines has a popular segment called Bawal ang Judgmental. Ano sa Itbulaga to? Being judgmental is not allowed. I suppose bawal ang judgmental dahil kadalasan tayo mismo ay nabubulagan dala ng ating sariling pagkukulang. We are not ganito ka-popular ang Itbulaga, guys. Kahit sa homily ni Father is nasasama siya. I suppose bawal ang judgmental dahil kadalasan tayo mismo ay nabubulagan dala ng ating sariling pagkukulang. We are not to be judgmental for most of the time. Our own shortcomings and limitations blind us. I once come across a story on the internet. It's https://www.moralstories.org/a man dash with a lamp dash with dash a dash lamp. Ang haba naman ng ano na to, ng link na to. About a blind man who carries a lighted lamp. The blind man lives by himself, though he cannot see. He carries with him a lighted lamp whenever he goes out at night. One evening on his way home after having dinner outside, he came across a group of young travelers. Noticing the blind man, they started passing sarcastic comments regarding him. One of them approached and asked him, "Hey, you are blind and can't see. Why didn't you carry a lighted lamp?" The blind man replied, "Yes, unfortunately I am blind and I can't see anything, but the lighted lamp I am carrying is for people like you who can see. For you may not see the blind man coming and end up bumping me. That is why I carry a lighted lamp." The young travelers felt ashamed and apologized for their behavior. For us not to be judgmental, we can develop our self-awareness by patiently observing our thoughts and taking notes on what triggers them. More so to be more accepting of others, practice empathy instead and go out of ourselves and think of their welfare. In the Gospel passage, Jesus reminds us that we should think and reflect first and be compassionate instead of judging others. As Jesus reminds us, stop judging that you may not be judged. Always be humble and learn to see things from others' points of view. 27 June, Tuesday, Saint Cyril of Alexandria, 12-week in ordinary time, green/read, PS is 4. The word first reading, Genesis chapter 13, verse 2, and verse 5 to verse 18. So, lumaktaw siya. Genesis chapter 13, verse 2, and verse 5 to verse 18. Now Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support them if they stayed together. Their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. There were quarrels between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and those of Lot's. At this time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were occupying the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Let there be no strife between you and me, or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are kinsmen. Is not the whole land at your disposal? Please separate from me. If you prefer the left, I will go to the right. If you prefer the right, I will go to the left." Lot looked about and saw how water the whole Jordan plain was as far as Zoar, like the Lord. Zoar is Z-O-A-R. So, paano niyo basahin yan, guys? Zor or Zoar? Zoar. So, basahin na natin as Zoar. Like the Lord's own garden, or like Egypt. This was before the Lord had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot therefore chose for himself the whole Jordan plain and set out eastward. Thus they separated from each other. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the plain, pitching his tents near Sodom. Now the inhabitants of Sodom were very wicked in the sins they committed against the Lord. After Lot had left, the Lord said to Abram, "Look about you, and from where you are gaze to the north and south, east and west, all the land that you see I will give to you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants like the dust of the earth. If anyone could count the dust of the earth, your descendants too might be counted. Set forth and walk about in the land through its length and breadth, for to you I will give it." Abram moved his tents and went on to settle near the terebinth of Mamre, which is at Hebron. There he built an altar to the Lord. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 7, verse 6 and verse 12 to verse 14. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them mud underfoot and tear you to pieces. Do to others whatever you would have them to do to you. This is the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road broad that leads to destruction, and those who enter through it are many. How narrow the gate and constricted the road that leads to life, and those who find it are few." In other words, by Father Aris Martin, SBD, USA. During exams, my classmates in the seminary were puzzled why I was so relaxed. They did not know that long before the exams, I was reviewing the more difficult lessons, so that during the exams week, I would only browse the easier subjects. Scott Peck calls this delayed gratification. Today's gospel is choosing the narrow gate that leads to life. In the first reading, Abraham, being a senior, could have chosen the better portion, but asked Lot, the younger one, to choose first, so that whatever was left would be his. Nagparaya. Of course, Lot chose the better portion. Little did he know that his choice was Sodom and Gomorrah, which will be destroyed eventually. What was left to Abraham was the least fertile land, the leftover, but it turned to be the fertile ground of God's promise. "Look about you, I will make your descendants like the dust of the earth." If anyone could count the descendants of the earth, Abraham's selflessness, pagpaparaya, was blessed by God. Indeed, he is our Father of faith and blessings. Freedom is good. Freedom is good, but it is better when we give it as a gift to the one we love. This is Abraham's version of Jesus' golden rule in the gospel. Whatever is left to us is not much of our concern. It is enough that we see those we love enjoying the fruits of their choice. Then, through a kind of divine justice, God sees the goodness of our hearts and blesses us who choose the narrow gate for the sake of a beloved. My novice master once told me, "If you were given a chance to choose between an easy or a difficult path, Aris chose the more difficult path, because most often in life, the difficulty is the wrapping of God's blessings." Saint Cyril of Alexandria lived this message to the point of being labeled as a monster, born and educated for the destruction of the church, but ended up being a saint and a herald of truth. Delayed gratification, magparaya, and selflessness are human attitudes that attract the blessings of God. Bukas na itong 28 June, Wednesday. Bye everyone. God bless us.